Every 2 days, the world creates more digital content than has been created in every language since ancient peoples first began to write things down. And that huge amount of content is changing the way that companies are globalizing their businesses. Industries need to communicate by skipping over the language barrier while seamlessly integrating critical information right across the World Wide Web. To discuss this, let's talk to Adolfo Hernandez, Chief Executive of SDL, a leading global innovator in language translation technology and content management. I'm Paula Middlehurst. Welcome to the Business Debate. Adolfo, welcome to the London Stock Exchange studios.
Thank you very much. It's great to be here.
Now, you're in the business of helping companies go global. What does that mean in practice? And if it's not too big a question to ask, how's that changed over, say, the last decade?
A fab question. It's changed a lot. It's changed massively. You know, if you go back and think about the sort of middle of the 20th century, going global was I send a couple of people, open a new office somewhere, I send them on with some brochures and off you are, start selling. Then started opening manufacturing plants in other parts around the world. That was the 80s and the early 90s. Then came the internet. So all of a sudden you could sell globally and market your brand globally. And now you got the mobile, right? And this hyper growth of mobile, now you can get to people directly. So globalization is, particularly from a global distribution perspective, is both the biggest opportunity that most businesses have and a big challenge because it's no longer a few countries, it's multiple countries, multiple continents, tens and tens of languages, multiple formats, text, video, social. So it's a great opportunity for businesses, but a bit of complexity.
And when you look at all those changes that are happening and you put that in the context of the political changes that are happening as well, we've seen happening all over the world, what is it that businesses now should be looking towards in the near future in terms of their global competence?
Well, I think whatever you do with your production, and that seems to be much of what the discussions is all about with protectionism, right? What do you do with your manufacturing capabilities? The one thing is not going to change is your interest as a business leader to continue selling overseas, right? And as you got that opportunity, you could ignore it. I wouldn't do it. You could go after it. And if you want to go after it, do you want to do it yourself and learn by doing and incur costs and delay? Or do you work with someone who's been doing this for 25 years, who's got thousands of people all over the world, and has got the capabilities both on technology and human beings and knowledge to help you get your brand values across to the target countries that you're going after.
And with so much digitization around, it's tempting, I suppose, to just turn to machine translation to answer all your problems in terms of your digital transformation and all your digital content. But in terms of incorporating a human touch to that, what do you look for?
I think you need to do the best of both worlds and get humans and machines to work together. There are going to be content types, say emails or bulletin boards and stuff on the internet, that just getting the gist of it translated by a software robot might be good enough.
Like a set of instructions, for example?
A set of instructions, well, you know, you might get, depends what the instructions are for, right? If it's to operate the washing machine, you'll be fine. If it's how to do maintenance on an Airbus 380, then you might want to just use exact linguist-based translation. If you're going to do a regulatory filing around life sciences, patents and things like that, financial services, you'll need nuanced, correct, high-quality linguist translation. So it's not one or the other. It's using machines for what they're best at and using humans for what they're best at.
And SDL, you say, is unique in combining both those skills.
Yeah, we've been doing human-based translation for 25 years. We've been doing machine learning and since 2003. We've got the capabilities to do both. And yes, we don't have one answer. We will have the right answer depending on what customers are trying to do, depending on the content type, depending on the target language, the target formats. They might demand a different mix of human versus machine, but we can do both.
As you see machine translators getting better, the software refining and learning from human translation, do you ever see a time in the future when human translators will be ruled out completely?
No, absolutely not. So you'll get humans to do what humans do best, tone of voice, nuanced, high quality, picking certain terminologies, and then you'll see machines doing volume and sort of more standard content. You'll always need both, the same as you have, you know, software robots helping surgeons but surgeons don't disappear, the same as you have drivers who are taking advantage of self-driving cars, but the drivers don't disappear. It will continue to be a coexistence, and ones will do some things and the others will do the other. Same here.
So as businesses look at this ever-changing global landscape in terms of their digital content that's out there, what do you see are the strengths that a businesses should have going forward into the near future?
So first thing is they've got to get the languages, right? But language is not enough. You need to get the language, you need to get the context of what you're trying to communicate. Then there are going to be cultural nuances that need to be catered for in automotive, travel. So many things mean different things in different countries, and you've got to provide for them. And then you've got to be able to be aware of who are you targeting. So if you're using a tone of voice that is very formal, it might not appeal to millennials. So you've got to sort of be very conscious of all these things and just as a business do this properly. Translation doesn't mean internationalization.
What about the disruptive technologies? Would you include those that you've just described under that heading?
Yeah, I mean, disruptive technology is going to change everything. You know, cars are becoming running infotainment centers. This is creating a new type of content. It needs to be localized, it needs to be contextualized. You've got 3D printers that are changing the manufacturing processes. That's creating new type of content that needs to be globalized. You've got things happening on massive content production. High-end goods and services are being marketed through virtual reality headsets. This new content needs to be created, managed and localized. So with emerging technologies, you get emerging content that if you want to really monetize well as a brand, you need to think about it in global terms and globalize it properly.
Adolfo Hernandez, great to talk to you. Thanks very much indeed.
Thank you.
Well, that's all for now. Do join us next time when we'll be discussing the latest innovations in investment management and human capital. But for now, from me, Paula Middlehurst at the London Stock Exchange Studios, it's goodbye and thanks for watching.